And let's talk about Scarlett Johansson. So there was, we already know that Scarlett Johansson is set to premiere, or not premiere, well, premiere and appear in the Batman Part Two. So a lot of people were speculating. They were saying, would she play Poison Ivy? Which I was like, no, I can't see her doing Poison Ivy because Matt Reeves likes to ground his characters, and he's not somebody that wants to like. How do you ground a Poison Ivy? Like, how do you make that work in his world where it's based off realism and that sort of thing? You can make the Riddler work because you could have somebody who just creates riddles based on and do some David Fincher 7 type killings of people, but then also create riddles so that you have to solve that. So there's a detective aspect you put to that. So over the weekend, Jeff Snyder and John Roca did a special episode where it was a one topic exclusive where they answer questions also afterwards of the hot mic. If you have not watched that show, because yeah, I like to promote people who I genuinely like. And I like John Roca because he's another one like me that'll say what we need to say. We don't give a good goddamn. So maybe that's why I relate to him in a lot of ways on how he talks. But anyway, so he and Jeff Snyder they do a show called The Open Mic where Jeff Snyder, is an insider in the industry and he gets a couple of scoops or whatever and he'll spill it on the show. So apparently he actually ended up getting a scoop from some reliable sources of who Scarlett will be playing. Now, funny enough, there was another story that came out that I was going to bring on here, but I could debunk it. That Brad Pitt was also in talks to star in the Batman Part Two. Those rumors have been put to bed. Apparently, according to insiders in the industry, they said no. Brad Pitt, I believe, was circling, but it things didn't work out. So what they said is they were looking for to cast three new key roles: a man and a woman in their 40s and an older man in their 60s. And what they were saying was they were looking to cast Harvey Dent and Harvey Dent's father. I believe his father's name is Christopher. And then the word on the street is, well, let's just get to the story. So the Batman, as y'all know, put the spotlight on the Riddler and to lesser extent the Penguin. Well, I actually like this Penguin. They're saying to a lesser extent the Penguin. The Joker also made a cameo appearance, but all three are villains who have been featured in the Cape Crusaders previous movies. The hope was that the Batman Part 2 might do something different, with filmmaker Matt Reeves hinting as much earlier this year. He also said that because people were like, oh, well, would it be this person? Would it be? I said, Matt Reeves has said that he wants to bring in a character that's never been done in live action. Also, people believe that villains such as Hush and Phantasm would be in there because, and that was the kind of the one I was thinking about too, that possibly it could be Phantasm. Well, they said that the sequel will be basing itself off the Long Halloween, which we've seen that already done. But I guess they're taking a couple more elements out of it and incorporating into the sequel. So, according to Jeff Snyder, Scarlett Johansson will play Gilda Gold, aka Gilda Dent. Now, in the Batman Part 2, like most DC comic characters, there have been multiple interpretations of Gilda over the years, but the most famous was revealed as the holiday killer in the pages of Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's The Long Halloween. Hoping to lighten her husband's workload, what people should know that she actually started unaliving Gotham City's criminals. I also heard that she had an affair with what's his name? Um, Carmine Falcone. They said in one of the other issues, I don't think it was the Long Halloween. It was another one. I forget that came after the Long Halloween that she appears in. But they said the Long Halloween is like her most prominent role that she's played. So so hoping to lighten up her husband's workload, she started unaliving Gotham City's criminals. However, her actions led to Harvey being attacked and becoming Two-Face, turning one of Batman's greatest allies into perhaps the most twisted member of his rogues gallery. I'm also thinking that what they were saying as well is that if Brad Pitt was going to be cast, it would make sense because Brad is like 62, and if you're casting someone to play someone in their 60s, he probably was going to play Harvey's father, who, if I'm not mistaken, was an alcoholic and also had a lot of emotional issues, which also probably kind of plays into the whole Harvey Dent breaking. Maybe there's some maybe mental health is hereditary, especially if you have like a split personality, that sort of thing, which they could do a play on that. There was So yeah, that's kind of like the rumor so far. Now they said how much of what we'll see. Now we should say this. This is the rumor. Kind of feel like it's legit though. Like he might be onto something with this story. And I actually hope that she would get to play the holiday killer because this would be relatively interesting. It also kind of plays into the whole serial killer aspect of what we've gotten from the previous Batman movie. Like I love the whole Seven, David Fincher serial killer using that whole vibe of like, yeah, it's a superhero movie, but it's also like we're focusing a lot on the detective aspect of Batman, which I've always liked that aspect of the Batman comics. So we've never really seen that explored in the movies until what Matt Reeves did last year. So I'm hoping that this is what this is. I do feel like if you're going to bring Scarlett Johansson in this film, because they're talking about Gilda Gold. I almost said Booster. We still waiting on that movie. Gilda, but James Gunn, Gilda Gold, aka Gilda Dent, where if you're going to focus on that sort of situation, I don't think Scarlett Johansson would just sign on to be in a movie where she's playing the doting girlfriend or the fiance or the wife of a well-known character in a superhero franchise. There's definitely got to be meat on the bone, especially if someone of her magnitude taking on this part. So I'm actually glad in a way that, okay, if this is true, if this is the part that she's playing, this would be awesome. So, Snyder also learned that Reeves is looking to cast Harvey and his father Christopher. As I said, the latter character is who Brad Pitt was offered the chance to play, but he passed. An actor in the '60s is being sought for the elder Dent, with someone in their '40s wanted for the district attorney who eventually becomes Two Face. Now, as far as like who could play that character, I have no idea off the top of my head who would make a great Harvey Dent. If y'all have some names, definitely throw it in the comments who y'all would like to see play Harvey Dent, maybe Brandon Sklenar. We trying to get him to be Batman. I'm trying to find a way to get him into the DCU. But I don't know. Somebody like if y'all got any names, because I really cannot think of somebody all the time. I like who is a up and comer who's like a really good actor that would be a good person to kind of go toe to toe with a Scarlett Johansson. Maybe Miles Teller. Miles Teller is really good at playing authoritative figures. I mean, he playing Michael Jackson attorney in that upcoming Michael movie, so why not have him play an attorney in the Batman Part Two? I can definitely see Miles Teller and uh Scarlett Johansson going head to head in a part together, playing love interests. I mean, she would definitely kind of like trample over him, I guess, with her energy or whatever. But usually that's how it is. A lot of people who are in powerful positions when they get in the house, they're pretty submissive. So it says on the page, Christopher Dent was an alcoholic who suffered from mental illness, as I told y'all earlier, leading him into a violent and physically abusive relationship with his son. There continues to be speculation that Robert Pattinson's Batman will join the DCU, though both Reeves and the DC studio co-CEO James Gunn have repeatedly indicated otherwise. It also makes little sense. Look, I feel like at this point, y'all need to figure out what the hell y'all doing with the future of the Brave and the Bold, that DCU version. I just feel like it's crazy at this point to even have two different Batmans. I do feel like y'all need to find a way to incorporate Robert Pattinson in that Batman world. He's Batman at this point. I don't really feel like y'all need to cast another Batman so that way you could do your little Elseworlds DCU version of Batman. We've already gotten used to Robert Pattinson as Batman. I know a lot of people was against it from the beginning, but when I first heard the name and seeing him in a lot of smaller independent films, proving that he is not, he's beyond the Twilight Kid, then I was like, you know what? I trusted them in the casting. I definitely am looking forward to seeing who he's going to bring up in here. I definitely want to see what they're doing. And look, so far, everybody that I know is they like the Batman and they want to see him play that part. So, is there any more to add? Well, they did say the movie's coming out October 1st, 2027. So, if you're going to have someone who's based around the holiday killer, or her be eventually become the holiday killer, and it's coming out in October, which is close to Halloween. To me, I feel like that would be a good time to release the movie. But I'm sure that we'll find out more about this stuff as it develops. But yeah, so far we haven't heard. Well, Brad Pitt has been debunked, so it'll be interesting to see who they pick to play the father. Who should they pick? I was gonna say Stellan Skarsgård, but you can have um Alexander Skarsgård play the the attorney, and then you can have his real life father, as I said, Stellan play his abusive alcoholic father Christopher. That'll be a good casting. You get a real life father and son acting duo to play father and son in the movie. Somebody did say Colin Jost should play Scarlett's husband. I'm like, that's her husband in real life. That meta casting, I find that corny, but for the most part, I am pretty much excited by this news if this is who she's going to be playing, because I would definitely love to see Scarlett Johansson get her teeth, her hands dirty and her teeth wet or whatever the case is. I mean, her teeth is already wet, it's in her mouth. But y'all know the phrase. It's like, I would like to see her like get down and gritty and dirty into a meaty role and not just play the hero all the time like she did in a horrible Jurassic World movie and like she did as the Black Widow. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Are you excited over this news that is coming out from Jeff Snyder that she could be playing Gilda Gold, aka Gilda Dent, aka the Holiday Killer, allegedly? That they're taking parts of the Long Halloween, they're going to incorporate it into the Batman Part 2. So whatever your thoughts are on this story, let me know in the comments down below.